Heard on Thursdays with Nikki is about to go live online. Catch HOT, the iconic radio show that made Philippine FM radio talk, every Thursday on the Monster.
Streaming video on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931.
You heard on Thursdays host, Nikki Porter. Stand by and enjoy the program.
Hello, Monsters. Good evening and welcome to the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. That's heard on Thursdays, and I am your host, Nikki Porter. Valentine's Day, you guys, that is less than a week away. And if you're sick of spending it all alone for the nth time, then keep listening or keep watching because this episode is for you. Now, don't get me wrong, it's perfectly fine to choose a single life if that's what you want. If you're thriving and living your best life, then you know what? Go off, queen. Go do what you want. But if finding a partner is what your heart truly desires, then maybe tonight's guest can help you out. She is the first and only U.S. certified matchmaker and dating coach in the Philippines, whose mission is to help people find love effortlessly. She is the founder of Singles Events Manila, the only dating organization in the country that inspires successful single professionals find true love. She also has a master's in sociology and develops programs to help men and women learn the science of dating, flirting, and confidence in interacting with the opposite gender. She has delivered motivational speeches and trainings on social skills for companies and has helped over 100 singles find love in the Philippines and abroad. So ladies and gentlemen, heard on Thursdays, let's welcome back to the show, Coach V. Antonio. Yay! Hi!
Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, oh my gosh. I would always love her. Oh, thank you. You look lovely. He also, as always. Oh my gosh, it's so lovely to see you again. I love having you every year, especially during Love Month, of course. Very relevant because we always want to know what can we expect, what can we know and learn to be better daters, I guess, whether you're single or even in a relationship. Yes.
Wonderful. So
yes.
Excited. It's good to be back after a year. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. And so I want to quickly catch up with you first. So how was 2023 for you personally and professionally?
So 2023 has been such a blessing for Singles Events Manila because not only that we were doing all our singles event, I've mentioned before that we've expanded our services. So we're doing matchmaking and now trainings as well for private company. And that includes like social skills training because of the technology, right? Everybody is like so used to communicating with people online that we sometimes miss how to connect with people like genuinely in person.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, you train people to be better at networking and socializing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I also wanted to talk about something that you presented. We're just going to go and dive deep, guys. Recently, she flew to Singapore for the Internet Dating Excellence Association or IDEA Summit. And she discussed love scams. Love scams. That sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it turns out it happens in real life. So could you tell us, Coach V, what is a love scam?
So the love scam actually is one of the ways that people are getting money from victims. But I feel like this is the worst type of scam because they target your heart.
Yeah.
They play with your emotions. They make you feel as if they love you, they care for you.
Right.
They care for you. Sometimes we have seen like getting in a relationship with them for like 3 months, 6 months, courting you, sending flowers and gifts. So by the end of the day, it all boils down to money. They will be requesting money, like pretending to have an emergency or some sort. And after they get the money, love life is gone. So basically, that's love scam.
Actually, I have heard of some stories like that, not from personal contacts, but then, like if you see it online, like in viral stories, like abroad, it happens, but you don't think it would happen to you.
Absolutely.
Diba?
And Nikki, there's this common misconception that the victims of love scam are like fools or like young.
Yeah,
But you'd
right.
be surprised with the clients that we work with. Like
Mhm.
these are successful people. Some of them are even like, someone that you will be so surprised that has been scammed. So scams right now are sophisticated. They use not only technology, but psychology to
Mhm.
manipulate you.
Yeah.
So it's very sophisticated. So the reason why I flew to Singapore is to kind of give a briefing that social media and especially dating app developers should also take a look at the scam incidents, because when maybe some of your friends would be like, oh, I got scammed through dating apps, right?
Mm.
So I feel like dating apps should pay attention to this, because we're losing 1.3 billion US dollars a year
Globally.
globally just for the love
Wow.
scam.
That's
Yeah.
insane. And
A lot of money.
and like you mentioned, it is such a painful way to be scammed.
Absolutely, because they don't only take your money, they also like break you emotionally. That
Mhm.
the reason why I'm saying it's the worst type of scam, because it discourages people from falling in love.
Mhm.
And so even if we are not the ones who's doing the scamming, I feel like the people in the love industry, such as the matchmakers, dating coach, and the dating app founders and developers, we are responsible in a way, because when there are things that discourages people from falling in love, then it's not good for like the humanity, and also bad for business.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
also like the way that they break you, it's like you feel like you can't trust anybody again.
Absolutely, right? It affects your future
Yeah.
relationship, especially like right now. Imagine like a person courting you, they literally send you gifts.
Mhm.
Sometimes sends you money in small amounts,
Yeah.
but the exchange of that is of course like way bigger than what
Mhm.
what they can get from you.
Yeah, that's
So really,
insane.
really.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for everyone who wants to be aware of these situations, then what are some signs or red flags to be aware of to avoid being love scammed?
Right. So some of the most common signs that it's like a love scam is, first is there is a push for you to prove their love for them.
Mm.
Sometimes they ask you to do things for them just to prove that they love you. So that's like one glaring sign,
Mhm.
Like for example, if you really love me, you will help me. If you really love me, you'll do this.
Yeah.
If you really love me. And again, love scam is not just taking money from you. Love scam could be them asking for your bank account, saying that they will send you money, but the truth is you are being used for an illegal business. Like they will
Mm.
ask people to send money to you. It's like, what do you call that, like money laundering. So you could be
Yeah.
a victim of love scam. But ultimately, one of the signs also is not only they ask for money, the connection and the love they claim to be love is very quick. It's like love bombing.
Yeah.
Like there is no foundation. It's like we talk for a week, I'm in love with you.
Mhm.
Like that's not how love works. So please do not be like blinded by the sabi nga nila, just like what they say, easy to get, easy to lose, right?
Oh, easy to get, easy to lose. There we go. That should be on a t-shirt. Monsters. But yeah, and it's a good reminder, of course. And it's good that you mentioned love bombing as well, because I was trying to figure out, like, I'm pretty sure like these scammers would subject to love bombing so that they can get in quick and then like leave
Get out quick
as
with your
quickly.
money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then leave you broken. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That's
Your
insane.
heart and your bank account too.
Oh my, yeah.
That's
I
the
can.
worst, right?
So so like the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because like what Coach B said, it's like not something. It's not something that is going to happen to fools in love.
Yeah,
It
not
happens
anymore.
to people who are they are right in the head, but then being manipulated and psychologically convinced that they are in a relationship and that this person is in love with you. Anyone can want to you know make an extra effort and like give them money.
Right.
So
Right.
There we go,
And
monsters.
and Nikki, just to add with that, right?
Sure.
Love scammers right now are not individuals. They're almost like organized crime.
Yeah.
So especially for those people who share their interests, their hobbies, their ideal men and women online, be very careful because
Mhm.
these are one of the avenues. Your social media is one of the like avenues that they will go to, and they will even listen to your interviews. They will listen to your videos when they try to study you. So be very careful, especially when you share to the world like, hey, I like a man who's like this, religious,
Mhm.
gentleman, family oriented, and one day that man who you thought is like the perfect man because he has all the skills and traits that you've been telling the world, right? So you have to be very wary, especially if they're like too perfect.
Yeah,
'Cause
if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
it probably ain't.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. Okay, so we've learned about love scams, and hopefully that helps us kind of pinpoint or notice red flags if anybody is starting to love bomb us at the beginning of meeting them. But also, you mentioned that during the Idea Summit, you initially planned on talking about intercultural dating.
Absolutely.
So, what made you decide to give that the spotlight before
Right.
changing it to love scams?
Right. So, because that summit is made up of six founders and love professionals from six different countries,
Mhm.
and I feel like the Philippines has always been like it's an interest when it comes to dating. In fact, one of the things that I say during my interviews, my vision for the Philippines is to become like the dating capital, dating country of Asia. Because I feel like there's so many travelers who are coming here not only to see like beautiful beaches and become tourists, but they also heard of a lot of good things about Filipino men and Filipino women, like their traits of being family oriented, being malambing or affectionate,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes I laugh when they say like, "Oh, I'd like to date a Filipina because they're submissive." I mean, you're gonna say that until you meet one.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Maybe in the beginning, but once
But
you get together, it's different.
so there's so many like good traits I feel like Filipino men and women has that they could be like really good potentials as romantic partners. So the reason why I've mentioned intercultural dating initially, because I'd like to emphasize that the dating culture here in the Philippines is very different compared especially to the West, right? I'm actually at the beginning I was very surprised to learn that they don't really have that courting culture in other countries, and I was like, what, like how do you get your girlfriends? They say like, oh, we talk about it, we sit in the couch, and if we have mutual understanding we become together. I was like, what?
Romantic.
They did work hard for you.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the things that kind of surprised me at the beginning. But since I was able to work in the United States, it was really like an eye opener that there's a big difference when it comes to the courting culture, like how you end up with somebody. So so I wanted to share to our fellow Asian countries and to the world like how beautiful the courting culture in the Philippines, that it may not be perfect, but I feel like it brings you back to the essence of romance, which is kind of, putting in the effort, courtship, trying to like win your heart, win your family's heart. So that was my original intent. But I switched to love scam because I feel like it's most pressing right now because people are losing money. And so what I did during that summit is not just to tell them about the love scam, but actually teach them how to teach like regular people to avoid love scam. And one of the strategy that I taught them is yung mga techie dyan, for those who knows how to do their computers, conduct a reverse search image before you even start talking continuously to that person. Because when you do, are you familiar with Google
No,
reverse
you're
image?
teaching me right now.
Okay. So for those who are listening, this is very easy and Nikki. So when you have a photo of your match or the person that you're messaging, what you do is you go to Google, and when you see Google, there's like a camera button. You click that camera button. You upload the photo of your match. and then Google will show you the sources of those photos. So it can
Wow.
show you their social media accounts or where in the internet has that photos been used. So
Mm.
because one of my clients, she was able to discover that she was being love scammed because she used a Google reverse image, and then she found out the real account who owns those photos. So these are just basic techniques that we teach,
Mhm.
especially when you're really on like using dating apps. So
Yeah.
it will avoid it'll save you money and it will avoid heartache if you know these basic strategies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So dating has basically gotten way more complicated now with love scams, and then now having to employ like AI to try and
Right.
protect your heart.
Yes.
That's crazy. Oh my
Yeah, because the
gosh.
bad guys are using it, so we might as well learn how to use it as well.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense though. And so, like, thank you for educating us also on and giving us a tip on how to protect ourselves while we're out dating. Um, I also wanted to highlight in terms of intercultural dating, because here there's a lot of people, like what you mentioned, there's a lot of travelers
Yeah.
in and out.
Yeah.
And like how can there is still this stigma though, right? When we go out, probably publish on BGC, you see a Caucasian male with a
fam.
Filipino woman. Yes, exactly, with a Filipino woman, and people will give that look,
Got you.
right?
Yes.
And so, like, how, like, what can you say, or what can you try and rationalize, the whole concept of intercultural dating with, with the Filipino community, who is still, I think, grasping the idea that, what, this is actually a part of our culture now.
Absolutely, and and I think one of the elephant in the room is like they're dating Caucasians for money, right? That's like one of
Yeah.
the misconception. But
Mhm.
I'd like to share to the world that there's a lot of reasons why there are intercultural marriages right now. Because of the internet, it's so easy to like find your borderless love. Like it doesn't cost you anything at all, right? And also, let's look at the fact that when a Filipina or a Filipino have mixed race, I mean, besides the obvious, of course, they have beautiful babies. But according to science, when you have mixed race, genetically they have stronger DNAs. So the benefit is actually there. So so it's not like they're only dating just because they look good, but when you talk about intercultural dating, you also talk about like what will the future be like, right? So if you're somebody who kind of like imagined your children to have like a more liberal mindset, not just like growing up in provinces or in the Philippines, have this like globalized mindset, then dating not only Caucasians but Indians and other singles from different parts of the world is actually highly recommended. It's how you can expand your brain and like realize that maybe your reality is not the only way to go.
Exactly.
So it makes you smarter. So I do highly recommend intercultural dating actually.
And there we go. You know what? This is why I love Coach V, because she lives up to the name of science backed. Because it's important. It's not just like, it's not just, saying so. Na, it's part of our culture. But then scientifically speaking, it benefits you too.
A lot of benefits.
There.
Right.
So there we go.
And by the way, I'd like to share with our audience also, because we often hear the word AFAM, but not a lot of people know what it means, right? So basically, AFAM means a foreigner assigned in Manila, but we loosely use it to anyone who's white and good looking.
Right.
But an AFAM could also be brown, like darker color. AFAM is anybody who has been assigned in Manila for a certain post in work. So that's just like FYI for everybody.
Yes, we're breaking stigmas over here. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so okay, there's this whole point of intercultural dating now. And some people, of course, maybe they still want to find, love. They want to find love locally. And so you have Singles Events Manila, and you conduct events like left and right. And I heard you shared with me before we started the show actually that this month is, booked with a lot of events. And so why do you think that is that, companies are now wanting to sponsor singles events for their employees?
Right. So actually, I remember me at one point wishing that my birthday will be on February and February 14, because I feel like this is the month wherein people, like generally everybody, is thinking about heart, love, and relationship. And it's amazing how different companies are kind of like, they have their own gimmicks on how to promote love, how to have like a love themed like ambiance and activities. Because by the end of the day, when you look at motivation, besides the basic needs such as water, food, shelter, like what is the other greatest motivation? It's actually love, right? So when you kind of pay attention to love, like you can, like the when a person like has like this promise of like having love in their life, they will do anything. So now companies are hosting their singles event, they're dating just to like, it's a way to bring in people because they know that love sells as well. It's the greatest motivation. So that's what a lot of companies are doing. They're paying attention to dating and love.
It's very cool that they are aware of what's happening and what they want to give their employees so that it's more like well-rounded, I guess, their work-life balance, maybe.
Absolutely, the work-life balance, right? And when you look at studies, it's against the common belief that when somebody's in love, they're not focused. Like when you look at scientific research, like a person who has that well-balanced life, they have a love life or they have a loving family, even if they're single, and they have work, like they are more effective, like they're more productive in their jobs. So companies who are kind of like getting tickets for singles event for their employees or giving their employees like breakup allowance or date allowance, it's actually a very good incentive because first it makes you very humane, right? And second is you encourage them to have a healthy life because when they're healthy in general, emotions, physical, you just reap the benefit of their work. You have clarity as well.
So maybe other companies who are listening right now or employees of companies, and you want to have like a singles event happening in your company, Singles Events Manila.
Work with Singles Events Manila. And not only for singles events, we do a lot of coaching, like teaching them how to be better in interacting with their office mates, right? So conflict resolution. And it's just to change the vibe of your company so that it's more friendly and kind of like love-centered company.
Yeah, exactly. And so, okay, so let's say that a company is not necessarily hosting a singles event, but you, like if you find yourself, one of the listeners will find themselves interested in joining one of your events from Singles Events Manila. What can they expect when they walk in there? Is there what are the gimmicks, I guess, that you guys will do? Like, is there a program? What can they expect?
Yeah. So when you walk into a Singles Events Manila event, you are in for an adventure. So you will not be sitting down and chatting with people. You will be playing games. You will be running. You'll be doing relays because we believe that, as much like the more you create memories, almost like a team building with other people, the more you get bonded and dating will come effortlessly.
I like that you mentioned the word effortless. Like it was even in the introduction, like to help people date effortlessly.
Right.
But does it take effort before it becomes effortlessly?
Right. You are so brilliant. That is so true. Because before dating becomes effortlessly, then you have to put an effort. But where do you put the effort? Do you put the effort to the other person immediately? No, the effort begins with yourself. So when you've worked on yourself so much, like dating just becomes easier because you're so dateable. I mean, like in the market, you're so saleable, right? So the effort, dating becomes effortlessly after you have put in the work and the self-care part.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, referring to scientific studies, one of the top traits that the opposite gender is looking at when they're dating is that person taking care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the self-care, right? Do you have healthy weight? Do you have a good personality? Do you just generally take care of your body, of your mind, your mental health? That's so important. So
Mm.
when you have that taken care of, again, you don't have to be perfect, but when you have that covered, it's easier to connect with people, because generally people are looking for an asset and not a liability, someone to
Mm.
complement their life, bring added value, and not somebody to kind of like pull them down like where
Yeah.
they are, because we've been working hard to kind of like be better than who we
Mm-hmm.
are yesterday, right?
Right.
So you want a person who's gonna like grow with you, not kind of go down the hill. So yeah, put in the effort in yourself, and then dating becomes effortless.
All right. And so you have to put in the effort to make yourself
Mhm.
dateable. So
Absolutely.
what are some of the traits? Let's say, sige ako, I'm going to go on a date. What are the traits that I should have to make myself a great date? I don't know if this is subjective, but is there anything,
Mhm.
any scientific study or finding with regard to that? Like, what are some of the traits we should have while we're on a date?
So, Nikki, I'll start with the most common traits that we know, right? We always hear of the word confidence, because, and sometimes it's unfair because extroverts are often mistaken as confident people. Like
Mm.
introverts are not confident, which is not true. There's a lot of confident introvert people, but sometimes since they're extrovert, they tend to talk more,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to be like good in conversations. The assumption is, oh, there, I will never get bored with this person,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when we talk about confidence, confidence really comes from knowing that you have the certain skill to do something. So some people are not very confident in dating, but very confident in their job because they have put in the hours in their work. So if you
Mm-mm.
don't have any experience in dating, if you don't have any experience in interacting with the opposite gender, then you will not appear confident in dating. So practicing, dating, reading, learning, and of course listening to Monster RX will make you confident in dating because you are experienced in that one. So that's just one, building the skill that you need for dating. Second will be, and I'll zoom into women,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not very, it's not very common that people would mention this, but I feel like the feminine traits is very important to be attractive to the opposite gender. Why? Because if you're a woman and you're bringing all this like masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
it 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 turns the man off because they already have that. We tend to be attracted to somebody wherein like they balance us. So
Yes.
imagine if they're always like full of tension, and you're also a girl who's like full of tension, then what will happen, right? But
Yeah.
if you're this woman who, you may be one of the most successful women at your job, but when it comes to dating, you know how to relax, you know how to have fun, then it just complements with the masculine energy. So it's like yin and yang. It's about finding a balance. So
Yeah.
if you want to end up with a masculine man or a man who's in touch with their masculine trait, you have to be in touch with your feminine traits as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the most basic things would be relaxing, not saying things out of defense mechanism, but saying things because you genuinely mean it,
Mm-hmm.
and just not be overly conscious. I mean, the fun factor is very important because every day we're so busy with our life.
Mm-hmm.
We're full of stress. So dating is the part wherein you have fun, especially at the first few dates, because the
Yeah,
goal of
for
first few
sure.
dates is not to lay out all your standards,
Mm-hmm.
but to actually see if you can laugh with that person.
Yeah, totally agree. And I like also that you mentioned masculine and feminine energies. And this is something I just learned about recently, that actually male and female, men and women, both have masculine and feminine
Absolutely.
energies.
Right.
And so for could you tell us then, in terms of dating, what roles these energies, masculine and feminine energies, play in our dating lives.
Right. So there's this theory, it's called sexual dimorphism. It's saying that as a woman, the more you are in touch with your feminine traits, and as a man, the more you are in touch with your masculine traits, you just naturally attract the opposite gender. So I understand that there are also men who are in touch with their feminine traits, right? And that's okay. But according to this theory, when you are a man who's in touch with your feminine traits, you tend to end up with a woman who is also in touch with their masculine traits.
Yeah.
So it's really depending on like what kind of partner do you see in life? Like
Yeah.
do you envision having? So again, if you're a woman who'd like to take in charge, then based on this theory, you're likely to end up with a man who is like more on the passive end. So always remember that the type of people that we attract, it's not by accident. It's because of the energy and the traits that we kind of give away to the world.
Yeah. And I think energy, for those who are listening and who are watching this live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, it might be too abstract for you to understand.
Yeah.
So for Coach V, could you explain to us, like, what are some examples of like what's it like to be like a masculine man? What's it like to
Right.
be a feminine woman?
Okay, very good question, Nikki. So when we talk about masculine traits, we're talking about leadership, decisiveness, taking in charge, being comfortable with responsibilities. When you talk about feminine traits, this is more on somebody who likes to listen, who brings calmness and peace, in touch with their feelings more than the thinking part, right? So again, these are like we tend to relate it to traditional gender roles, but I feel like it really depends upon your goal. So if you're tired, if you're a woman who's like been running the company, or you're a CEO who's like, you give your all in your company, so you have that masculine. We need masculine as women. We need the masculine traits to
for
win
sure. Yeah.
in our profession, in our job, so that people will listen to us, right? But I feel like to be successful in dating, you have to compartmentalize, meaning the skills that makes you successful in the workplace may not necessarily be the same set of skills that you need to be successful in dating. So leave that in the door the moment that you leave your company, and then be the fun, amazing, playful woman that you are when you're in a dating. So different demands in life, different skills, different scenarios, different skills.
Yeah.
So it's that ability to adjust and pick the right skills to kind of like do depending on the situation.
So I guess the level of adjustment, or the openness to adjustment, will depend, I guess, on what they are looking for in a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're a woman and you want to lead in your relationship, then watch, because you will connect with a man who do not mind having a woman lead a relationship. Because if you end up with somebody who also wants to lead a relationship, I mean, common sense, you guys would always butt heads.
Yeah.
So you'll end up with somebody who is okay to like you taking in charge. But the question is, women, would you like to take in charge all the time?
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true, women. All right. So we have to learn how to sink into our feminine energies when we are dating, but we can absolutely be masculine when we are out there just killing it at work.
Absolutely.
All right.
Go-getters.
I love it. Okay. So now we're actually, can you believe it's like we're nearing the end of the show? It feels like
I thought it was just 5 minutes.
Right? It feels very quickly. But I do have a bunch of questions, and this part is still like I still have a bunch of questions for you, Naman. But this is the rapid fire that I did with you last year, and so okay, let's go. So how soon should we tell someone that we're dating or about to date our intentions? If we're looking for a relationship, just looking for a casual hookup, when should we state that?
Day one.
Day one. There we go. Easy peasy. Okay. Next is, when then are we supposed to like DTR the relationship?
Personally, if you're a woman, wait for the man to do the DTR. If they don't DTR soon enough, then it's time for you to move on.
How soon is soon enough? Okay.
So it depends on your age, but if you're on your 20s and you have time to waste, then that's fine. But if you're a woman who's planning to have a family at a certain age, you communicate that. If the man does not respond accordingly, then maybe it's one of like reasons for you to kind of like maybe he's not the man.
Yeah, okay, all right. And so in one of your previous IG posts, you said that dating isn't a numbers game, it's a strategy game. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah. I used to believe that dating is a numbers game, meaning if I go on 100 dates, absolutely I'm going to end up with somebody, right? But then after learning the science of dating, I've realized that I can go on 100 dates and still end up with no one if I don't have my dating strategies right. Meaning, I could just be dating 10 people, but if I have put in the effort in myself and I'm dateable enough, I could like have good options out of the 10 and you will be chosen. So it's a strategy game because you know how you have to learn how to connect with people.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you don't have to like meet all singles. Meet a few singles and you'll end up with somebody because they're for sure they're gonna like you if you have those dateable traits.
And it's funny because I do remember you saying before that dating was a numbers game when you first guested here.
Yeah.
So I love the growth,
Yeah,
you
there
guys.
is,
There's always
absolutely.
something to learn, something new. So that's why science back nga, she updates herself.
I mean, yeah. So it's a very humbling experience, Nikki, to kind of like tell the world that the world is changing. At one point, this may be true, but maybe on my next guesting with Nikki next year, it's gonna be a different.
But
thing,
it's not strategy. It's something,
something else. So
else.
we gotta keep ourselves updated, and whenever I learn something new, then I'm happy to share them.
Yeah, and again, like I love your page because like it's so educational for those who need educating on like your dating lives or how to date better. Follow Dating Coach V on Instagram and on TikTok, diba? May TikTok ka na. There we go. Na-plug ko na siya. Okay. And okay, so why is it important to invest in yourself and practice self-love? And I know this is in relation to what you mentioned already earlier. So, but why is it important to invest in yourself even when you're still single?
Because I feel like when you have not invested in yourself or you have not loved yourself, you expect a lot from your partner.
Right.
And that could be one of the reasons why they will not stay with you because there's just a lot of, like, it takes a lot for you to be happy.
Yes, that's so
But if
true.
you kind of like, oh, I know what makes me happy. I know what, I know what will make me feel loved. I know how to self-soothe. I know how to regulate my emotion. Then maybe your partner will be like a bonus.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's good. It's like it's a perk to be with them, but then you're totally capable of like, handling your own self.
It's like you're set, whether they're there or not. But of course, it's more fun when they're there.
That's true. That's also true. Okay, next. For those who might not be aware, could you tell us what are some examples of bare minimum behavior so we don't fall for it?
Oh my God, bare minimum. And I would like to shout out to all our men. I'm not going against you guys. I'm actually helping you by communicating what women likes, right? So an example of, oh my God, an example of like a bare minimum behavior is like very inconsistent with attention. And that includes like texting you, inviting you on dates. Almost you feel like a backup plan, something like that. So when there's no consistency, that means that attention is going somewhere else. Could be another ladies, could be another stuff. So obviously you're not a priority. Another one will be bare minimum. You look at what are the person's limited resources. So when we talk about limited resources, you're talking about time, which I've told a while ago. If they're not taking you on dates and texting you enough, that means time is going somewhere else. Look at also the money. Are they investing in you? Because the money is such a limited resource that we spend it in whatever makes us happy. So if they hardly even like take you out or like buy you gifts, I feel like it could be a simple little something,
Mhm.
but it's like a way to let the person know that, hey, you're my priority,
Mhm.
or like you're the thing that makes me happy, so I will invest in you. So that's just like one.
Yeah.
So
And
time, money, those are the things that you have to look out for, ladies.
yeah, bare minimum pa lang yun, guys. Just a gentle reminder. Okay. Also, what does it mean when a man says he's looking for a strong, independent woman?
Oh my God. It's so funny because I have a video on my Instagram and
Mhm.
TikTok wherein I told the world about my experience in dating like almost like 10 years ago,
Mhm.
wherein I know that this particular person would love to have a strong, independent woman, and I had interpreted it the wrong way.
Mm.
So, what does it mean when a guy says, I like a strong, independent woman? We tend to think that, oh, they like women who are like successful and like and very, like almost like a woman who's in touch with their masculine traits,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But I feel like some men who says that they want a strong, independent woman because they kind of feel like they don't have that in them, that they need an anchor and a
Mm.
woman who's like strong and independent. But also there are men who says that they need a strong, independent woman because they're just basically looking for a woman who can stand on their feet when they're not around.
Yeah.
Like, I will take care of you when I'm there, but when I'm not there, I have to know that you'll be okay. So
Mm.
that's how some men define strong, independent women. So
Yeah.
I feel like we have to redefine it in a way that they don't want somebody who's like a, sorry for my term, like a dick in the bed,
Mhm.
right? Like strong, like not physically strong,
Yeah.
but they need you to be able to be alive and be okay
Mhm.
whenever they're not around. So they would still, even if they say, I want a strong, independent woman, they still like their women in touch with their feminine traits, but someone who they don't have to save like all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Next, there's this term actually that I've come across on my other show, and it's called contra dating. I'm not sure if you've come across this, but it's basically what it means is dating outside of your usual type. Because usually we have a type
Right.
whenever we like swipe, whenever we go out at a bar or wherever it is. And so, do you think though contra dating would give singles better chances in finding a partner?
It's my first time that I've heard this. So thank you for sharing that. Contra dating. So for Singles Events Manila, a lot of people do not know that we run a high-end matchmaking service as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do matchmaking, you basically like pick a person and send them on a date with your client. So you have to understand, and this is what we do. We spend so much time getting to know and understanding the preference of our clients so that we'll be able to pick somebody who's his match. But the problem is, and this is also based on science, that people think they know what they like. And then
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the day, you check out who they're married with. They're married with somebody who's almost like the total opposite of whatever they've listed on their sheet, right?
Mm.
So I feel like it's a balance between studying your dating patterns, like
Mm-hmm.
what kind of looks am I attracted with,
Right.
right? What kind of like characters and attitude makes me fall. But at the same time, if that is not working, like you may be going on dates with them, but you don't end up in a long term relationship with them, it's time to go 180 degrees. And I feel and I believe this, that life is an experiment. You
Mhm.
gotta try. Because even if you follow like certain formulas, that certain formula may have worked for somebody, but
Mhm.
it's not for everybody. So go and go for your usual type, but also leave a room for experimentation.
Ooh,
Go
okay.
contra dating
There we
and find out
go.
if that works for you.
There we go. I just came up with content for you.
Thank you so much. That's gonna be on my TikTok soon. Thank you to Nikki Porter.
There we go. Now, okay, is it ever okay to ghost someone?
Oh, wow,
Mm.
that's a very tough question. Is it ever okay to ghost somebody? My answer would be yes.
Okay.
So there are conversations that are not worth pursuing and continuing, especially if that conversation does not like bring out a good side of yourself, right? So when it comes to dating, I feel like you should select somebody who brings out your best side. But we also meet people who brings out our toxic dark side, right? And no matter how much you appease them, sometimes via text message, like they will always like kind of try to, you know, pull you down or pull you in whatever mood or like dimension they're in. So yes, it's okay to ghost, especially if it's not something healthy already.
Yeah, there we go. If it's not healthy.
It's not healthy, but be kind if you can.
Yeah.
If they're not kind, then definitely 100% ghost them.
Yeah. So what is one way or maybe one line you think, for example, because people will usually tend to ghost siguro when maybe after 1 or 2 dates, because then there's no more, like they don't see the chemistry, they don't see this going anywhere. So instead of having that message sent, they just disappear, and then the other person's left wondering like, I thought we had like a good connection or something like that. So what would be a good line for that person who is thinking about ghosting to send the person that they're dating that they are not interested in seeing them anymore?
So there's this line that we recommend to our members, because we run a social club for Singles Events Manila. Instead of ghosting them, it's better to be forthcoming about how did you feel, because they couldn't fight you with that. That's how you feel. So a message could sound like it was fun getting to know you. It was great getting to know you, but I did not feel the romantic connection. You could be forthcoming and say that. But if you want, I could introduce you to some of my friends. So it's like downer, and then you give them hope, but not just with you, with someone else.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so don't ghost people, man. Just
tell them about how you feel. Be very honest, and you'll be surprised by their reply. And these are like some of the things that we received when we let go of that line. Like they would say like, wow, like that's a breath of fresh air, because it's not very common for Filipinos to be forthcoming about how they feel or how they see you. So they're gonna thank you for that.
Yeah, and it's also good practice to, you know, be a decent human being, because if you're and the person that you're dating, once you send it to them, like if they're mature enough, they will understand. And then I guess if they're not mature enough and they get a little violent, then maybe you can ghost at that point.
Absolutely. You are not in any way required to absorb all the negativity.
There we go.
But also, Nikki, I'd also like to share the other side of the spectrum. Like sometimes for people who gets ghosted, right? So if you feel like hurt that somebody ghosted you, just remember that just like you, they're also looking for their person too. So if they didn't find that in you, just like how you didn't find it with other people, just be very compassionate, because by the end of the day, we're all just out there looking for the one.
Yeah.
For us. So try to understand also, even if it's kind of painful, if the person that you like didn't like you back.
Yeah, and that's great that you brought that up. I was about to ask, like, well, what's the person who got ghosted? What can they do? Or what's your suggestion or word of encouragement for them? And you just did it. So thank you very much. All right, we are nearing the last few questions. While not in relationship, I found out about this term also on your socials. How can we push ourselves to do rotational dating, which is like dating or talking to more than one person, if we're more of a one-by-one type of dater?
Right. So the rotational dating is very common in Western countries. But it's not as common in the Philippines, because we tend to be like, oh, it feels like cheating, even if you're not together, right? Because there's just that we're also coming from a very traditional way of looking at dating.
Yeah.
When I talk about my grandparents and my parents, like during their generation, once you go on a date with somebody, the expectation is, when are you guys gonna get married?
Yeah.
Right? But right now we are very lucky to live in this generation wherein you have the freedom to choose. That's why that's the tagline of our company, Singles Events Manila, because rotational dating is basically getting to know multiple people, to know and to assess which of these people are the most compatible partners for me.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean that you're sleeping around.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you give them false hope, but you're basically getting to know people to be very logical about choosing a partner.
There we go. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. You're not hurting anybody
Mhm.
as long as you're single, and at the same time they're aware that you are not in a relationship. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, there's this other concern, which actually I am curious about because you did talk about this as well. I think many people have come across being friend zoned, especially
Yes.
by people they have had feelings for. Relate. Anyway,
Nikki, let's talk about that.
We'll talk about that off air.
Let's talk
No,
about
I'm just
that.
kidding. No, but I've heard more stories among men than women, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it happens to both sides. So why do you
Mhm.
think people tend to be friend zoned by someone that they like?
So friend zone happens when basically they don't feel any attraction towards you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the sexual tension. And when we talk about attraction and sexual tension, although they sound very superficial, they're actually a major like consideration when you're trying to find somebody to spend the rest of your
Right,
life
yeah.
with, because you have one part which is the procreation part, wherein having babies,
Mhm.
and so I feel like when it comes to dating, the friend zone is very common when you are not um, when you do not have the flirting skills.
Mm.
Because I feel like the flirting skills is what takes you out of the friend zone to a romantic zone,
Mm.
because you're tapping into that part of the other person that we're not gonna be friends, but we're gonna be romantic partners.
Mhm.
But if you're like, if lahat dinadaan mo sa friendship, sorry, if you try to be friends and then you court them, then there's a big chance that you will be friend zoned. Because there are some girls who'll be like, oh, he's my friend, I'm not gonna date him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So some people believe in going friends first, but sorry, dating coach V does not really like subscribe to that,
Mhm.
because like being friends first, although you get to know them better, I feel like if that's like your person, I mean, aren't you gonna realize that in the first like few months that you've got to know each other, right?
Mm.
So it's possible that we fall in love with our friends. It's because of the mere exposure effect.
Yeah.
So it's a theory that states that the more time you spend with a person,
Right.
the more you appreciate them, the more you see like different parts of them. This is why we fall in love with office mates. We fall in love with people that we often like spend time with.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when you have that kind of like affection or attraction, you have to ask yourself, is it really love or na mere exposure effect ka lang?
There, ask
Overexposure.
yourself.
Right, ask
Yeah.
yourself.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, down to the last two. In your professional opinion, Coach V, what would you say is the right attitude to have while you're actively dating? Putting yourself out there, making the effort.
Wow. So the right attitude that you should have when you're dating is knowing that there is someone for you by the end of the day. Because dating could get so tiring.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like when you keep on going on dates and you just don't see that person, you feel like it's easy to kind of just raise the white flag and say,
Yeah.
I'm better off single. I'm happy being single anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, look at studies. Like people who are in a healthy romantic relationship live longer
Mm-hmm.
than single ones. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, so I have this mentor, and she said that based on science, the people who ends up finding somebody in their life are the people who did not give up on love. So always have a positive mindset that you're gonna find somebody by the end of the day. It may take like 100 dates, but you're gonna end up with somebody that you love.
Yeah.
So have that mindset with you, because you need that.
Yes.
Because dating is tough right now, but if you have that mindset, you're focused on your goal, then you're gonna find them.
Yes, and employ strategy.
Employ strategy.
All right. Finally, Coach V, what would be your words of encouragement to people who have? Oh yeah, you actually did answer this. Okay, so it's basically for those who have given up on dating and finding a suitable partner, if you could give them like a mantra or like maybe a saying to help push them when it comes to dating and wanting to find the right partner that hopefully that they will live with for the rest of their lives?
Right. So my final words for this interview would be, because we've talked a lot about dating, but I feel like when it comes to finding a romantic partner, it's very important that you know yourself. So self-awareness, know what type of people attracts you, understand why they attract you, and ask yourself, is this a good reason to be attracted to? So it's really self-awareness, because when you know why you get attracted to people, then you understand, like, oh, maybe like this is a good sign that I'm attracted to them. Because some people could be attracted to you, but they're attracted to you for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you could, like, a woman could be attracted to somebody who's like a bad boy, or like who loves to drink, because she's homing. Homing means maybe in her childhood years she was seeing her uncle or her dad kind of like drinking, right?
Yeah.
So that felt familiar, that felt good, right? But the reason of why you felt good is not good. So understand why you are attracted to certain individuals. Ask yourself why you're attracted to them, and kind of like you can go on from that part.
There we go. And have a positive mindset.
Have a
for what you said
positive mindset. You're gonna find
previously.
them. But if you know that you don't have the right skills, work with Nikki, work with us, because we're not perfect. We have we could be good in tech, but not good in making a person kilig or making them smile. So go in coaching, hire coaches, educate yourself. I feel like that's the answer.
There we go. Oh my goodness. Coach V, always such a pleasure to have you on Heard on Thursdays.
I must say that you are one of the best interviewers. I've never worked my ass as much as I did in other interviews.
You heard it first.
You're so good. Thank
I
you.
love it. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. What a nice way to end the show. Oh. Thank you to all the monsters who have kept it locked since 11 in the evening. Catch me again next week for another episode on Heard on Thursdays. Thank you once again, Coach V. Before we end the show, where can they find you? Singles Events Manila, if they own a company, want to do an event with you, or just want to join.
Right. So Singles Events Manila is a company that will help you in anything that's related to dating, coaching, social club matchmaking, and of course, social skills networking improvement. We're on our social media, Facebook and Instagram. That's Singles Events Manila, or just reach out to me at Dating Coach B on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll be happy to work with you.
There we go. Thank you again to all the monsters. Keep it locked only here on The Monster. Bye.
Monster exclusive interview. Monster exclusive interview. Only from Manila's hottest. Monster RX93.1.